Give a good sermon. Sermons can be very boring and uninteresting to a lot of people. This is true especially if the sermon is not planned, constructed, and delivered well. Hence, it is definitely a big challenge for preachers to be able to impart a good sermon to their listeners. Preachers must always be mindful of the things that comprise a good sermon. Although different listeners look for different things from a sermon, there are certainly some expectations that must be met in order for it to be appreciated and for it to gain a number of positive responses. Here is how you can preach a good sermon. Good sermons are firmly based on the Holy Bible. Since sermons must be rooted from the Word of God, the best way to cook up a good sermon is to find Bible texts to preach. Since the Bible can be very overwhelming to read, you may find it easier to take down notes while you are doing your daily Bible reading. When you come across a Bible text that you find very interesting, write it down together with your insights. Using this exercise, it will be a lot easier for you to look back and review your notes when the time comes that you need to include a text in your sermons. Keep in mind that the Holy Bible must always be the center of your sermons, since sharing the Word of God is the main objective of why you are preaching in the first place. Good sermons present a well-rounded view of the Word of God. When you preach, you do not just state your own insights about a certain text. Your interpretations are simply not enough. It will be a good idea to look at the text from different angles in order to present a complete view of what it is really about and what is the message behind it. Hence, you must also do some research. Some preachers include a historical dimension of the chosen text. Others add a rhetorical analysis. However, make sure that your sermon is still easily understood. It does not have to be complex in order for it to be in-depth. If it helps, you can also put in some personal experiences that you think are appropriate to get the message across. It also helps if you add in some humor too. This will definitely keep the listener's attention as you deliver your sermon. Good sermons have a theme. Your listeners must be able to remember at least a thing from your sermon. Hence, it helps to unify everything with a theme. This theme should be imparted clearly so that your listeners know what the proper response to your sermon is. Repetition also helps so that your listeners know what the point of your sermon is. Good sermons are structured. This will save your listeners from getting confused about the many ideas that you are telling them. To make sure that you make sense, write down your sermon. It helps to start with an outline so that your sermon has a structure. If you don't want to write it down completely, you can stick with an outline. You can also go ahead and practice it out loud so that you will know which parts are clear and which parts may confuse your listeners. Lastly, remember to preach with confidence. Ask and pray to God for some guidance so that you can deliver your sermon well.